everyone, my name is Catherine and welcome to my channel. I thought today I would do another video talking about the books that I have read some pretty good books that I would definitely recommend, and I'm just gonna get straight into it. So I kind of go back and forth between reading physical books and then books off of my Kindle. So I thought I would start by showing you guys the physical books, and this is the first book I read, Wish You Were Here by Jodi Picoult, I would say. I've seen her books around. She has some pretty popular books, but I've never read any of them. So this book is pretty new. It is actually centered around the pandemic that we're currently going through. So pretty new. And I can see why. I'm a big fan of Goodreads and I go on Goodreads a lot. And I can see why a lot of people on Goodreads said like, they're just too traumatized by the pandemic to read a book about the pandemic right now, which is totally fair. But if you're willing to read it, I really liked it. It is a fiction book, and it is basically about a woman named Diana. I'm trying to look here on the bio. I think she's like in her late 20s, but basically she's one of those people that has like a life plan. She is dating somebody named Finn, who is a surgical resident working at a hospital. And this is around like the beginning of the pandemic. Like this is starting in March 2020, and they were set to have a trip to the Galapagos Islands. They're not engaged yet or anything, but she's like pretty sure that she's gonna be proposed to in the Galapagos. And then literally the day of their flight, they wake up and they knew of this pandemic that's starting to make headlines. And literally that day, he's just like, the boyfriend, Finn, is saying, I can't go, the hospital needs me like insanely bad, but you go to the Galapagos without me. And she's not really one to solo travel, and she's been planning to go with her boyfriend, who she was hoping to get a proposal from. And so she does finally decide to go to the Galapagos Islands, and turns out she gets stranded there because the pandemic happens, things get crazy, and she can't leave. And it's her journey kind of at first freaking out because she's stranded alone in the Galapagos, but then like over time, you know, being stranded on a island that's beautiful with unique animals. If you look up images of the animals that are native to the Galapagos Islands, it's beautiful. It's one of my top places that I want to go that I haven't been to. And she learns it's not the worst place in the world to be, and she meets some great people along the way, and it makes her reevaluate what she wants in life. And there's a huge plot twist, and I didn't see it coming, and I really liked this book. I'm in the middle of reading Prisoners of Geography, 10 maps that explain everything about the world. This book is cool because it is divided by different countries or regions in the world. So I've already read about Russia, the United States, Western Europe. There's also Africa in here, India, some other parts of the Middle East, and you just get to learn more about how they came to be the way they are. Now this next book, the On Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, and I found out actually not too long ago, it's actually two different authors, and they like combined their names and they write these books together. So basically this is a book about two twins, and there's like this one twin that's always lucky, getting what she wants in life, and then the other twin who has the worst luck in the world, and yeah, pretty much the opposite. And the lucky twin ends up getting married, and the unlucky twin of course goes to their wedding and everything. The lucky twin ends up getting sick because of some food poisoning situation, and the unlucky twin, whose name is Olive by the way, she didn't get sick because she's allergic to shellfish or seafood, one of those genres, and that's what the type of food was that got everyone sick. She didn't get sick, and her twin, the one who's getting married, got like an all expenses paid trip to Maui in Hawaii. That's non-refundable, and it was just gonna go to waste no matter, like if she didn't use it, it would have gone to waste. So that twin was telling Olive, the unlucky twin, take my place and go on this all expenses paid trip. And the only other person in this wedding who didn't get sick is a guy named Ethan Thomas, and they have like a frenemy situation going on where they're like friends but they're more so enemies. And so these two people go on this trip, and you know, guy and a girl going on a fake honeymoon trip. You can only guess kind of what happens, but I love reading romance books, and I really did enjoy this book. Just an easy, fun read. I read The Four Agreements recently, which was on my list for a while. I actually love listening to different podcasts, and a podcast called Fingers Crossed, hosted by Christy Vetter and Sierra Green. They sometimes do like book clubs, so they've done one in the past, and the next one's this one. That's not their main like content that they do on the podcast, but sometimes they'll have it where you read a book and then they'll talk about it over an episode. And I didn't want to miss out, and this is like a tiny book, if you can tell. But I really loved this book. Basically, it is a book going about like 4 different agreements that you need to live by in life in order to like be a happier, more true, free person. So I will just kind of quickly go over the 4 agreements. So the first one is be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip to others. Use the power of your words in the direction of truth and love. So basically, like, your words matter. Be careful how you use them. And then the second one is don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. So usually when we freak out about things, at least for me, I'm more of an anxious person, we tend to think of the worst case scenario and always make it about ourselves because, you know, we view the world through our own lenses, through our own perspectives, and of course we just naturally make things all about us because that's what we know. When you're dealing with conflicts with people or just having like different relationships, friends, whatever it may be with people, and things come up, always think that what's going on from them, it's basically a reflection of what's going on in their life, and to not take it so personally. The next one is don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. Just with this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Basically, communication is key, and don't, like, again, think of worst case scenario. It's so much easier said than done, but just like repeating these in my head has been really helpful. And I think they're really simple, to the point, and I really like that about this book. And the last one is always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regrets. So just trying to live these agreements as best as you can without being too hard on yourself because it changes. Definitely recommend this book. Super short and simple. The next book that I'm currently reading is called Love, Lists, and Fancy Ships. So I saw this at the airport in Miami, and I decided to get it because if you haven't seen previous videos of mine, I'm currently working for Semester at Sea, which is a study abroad organization that is on a boat. Think Sweet Life on Deck with Zach and Cody. Like, that basically exists, and it's the organization I work for. And it's about this woman who is about to turn 30, and she makes a list of 30 things she wants to do by the time she's 30. And she works on a yacht, so not quite a ship, but the whole nautical theme is here, which I really liked because I can relate even though I'm working remotely. And she has all these different things she wants to work on, but then all of a sudden there's a tragic death in her family that really kind of flips her life around, and it talks about concepts of grief, but then there's also some romance in here. And I just really thought this would be a good book to read. It's also set in South Florida, which is where I just was on my trip, and I wanted to read it. The next books are off my Kindle, and I'm just going to quickly go through them. But I have on here People We Meet on Vacation. So this is a super popular book right now. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it or even read it. But basically it is a book about 2 best friends, and they meet in college. They're complete opposites. The guy is more quiet, introverted, kind of nerdy, and the girl's more outgoing, and she doesn't want to settle down. She wants to travel everywhere and be a travel writer. And the guy, he wants to stay in his hometown and have a family, be settled. And they went to school not in their hometown for college, but they're both from the same hometown. So they meet and they find this out, and they become friends, and they decide every year they're gonna take a trip together. And that's like their thing, and the thing that makes them happiest. And then something happened in Croatia one year, and it just ruined their friendship. And then down the line, like 2 years later, the girl seemingly should be happy. She has her dream job as a travel writer. She travels all the time on her company's credit card and gets to write about her stories, but yet she's internally just not happy. And so she thought about like what makes her truly happy, and it's these trips with the guy who's Alex. And so she tries to rekindle their friendship, and then their friendship may turn to something more, maybe not. So that's that book. And then the next one is In Order to Live by Naomi Park, and it is basically a woman's journey escaping North Korea and just learning more about what it's actually like living in North Korea. And it was really eye-opening and just a crazy story to read. I read this book in like 3 days and then was watching like different interviews of hers online, and she even has her own YouTube channel. And it is just wild, the differences between North and South Korea, and her getting to escape North Korea. Like, she originally did it through China, but then she had to like go to Mongolia to then finally go and arrive to South Korea, and now she's in the United States, and her journey is wild. And she's only like a year or two old, I think a year older than me, so it's just crazy to think like this wasn't even decades ago. This was happening at the same time like I was living my life here in the US. Completely different childhoods, because she escaped when she was a child. I think she was 13 at the time. So it's just wild to think about like the contrast between somebody like me living in the States and then her in North Korea. It's just crazy wild. So there's that book. And then I also am almost done with, not quite yet though, with the book 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. And I really like the way this book is structured. It literally has 101 essays, so each chapter is a new essay, and it's just about all different types of topics, from like how to teach kids to grow, like how to teach the next generation to not grow up in anxiety, or why we're addicted to suffering, or why heartbreak could be a good thing, like all kinds of different things. And each essay is really short, so it's really easy to read, because since I'm reading on the Kindle, it'll show me how many minutes I have, and on average they take 2 to like 10 minutes to read, so they're very quick. And I love that about this book. And then quickly mentioning books on my audio account that I listen to when I'm walking or in the car in the holidays. Really liked that book. It's a Christmas book though, so I don't know, reading it now or listening to it, how you feel, but I really did like that one. I'm in the middle of listening to Just Haven't Met You Yet, which is really cute. I'm almost done with that one. One Day in December. That one, although it says December, it's kind of throughout the span of several years, so you could listen to it when it's not Christmas time, but I listened to that one. Those are all my books, and thank you guys so much for listening to me talk about them. I really do recommend all of them. I like having a variety of books, although definitely like fiction, especially romance fiction, has been my favorite genre this month. I tend to kind of go back and forth between what the main types of books I'm reading are. But yeah, if you guys have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below, or if you've read any of these books or have any thoughts about these books, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video of mine. Bye!